guys, so today I am coming back at you with another writing vlog. If you've watched my last one, you'll know that I was planning on starting up again when I got back to Birmingham. That didn't happen. I didn't have a very good creative space in Birmingham. I didn't have a good place to sit and write, and I didn't have a good structure to my day because I wasn't doing anything. Whereas now I am here in my new home. I have a more structured day because my partner works. I'm applying for jobs, so hopefully I'll get something soon. But I was still struggling to carry on drafting. It was still very difficult. So I have started planning out my chapters, which is something that I don't usually do. However, this time I've decided to do it because I wasn't quite sure where the story was going, and I was very stuck because I had all these ideas. I had all these different types of like fairies, because that's what the story kind of centers around, is fairies and everything, but I didn't know where they fell or, you know, have an idea of what each of them was going to do. I just didn't know, and so I started planning out chapter by chapter, and it helped. Oh, my laptop is dying. One sec. But yeah, writing out the chapters has really helped me figure out where I'm going, what I'm doing. But another thing that it's done is my story now doesn't end where I thought it would. I thought that the beginning portion of the novel would take a lot longer than it has, and so I'm continuing on with the story past where I thought it would end, which is a good thing. I'm really liking the direction it's going. A big thing that I do struggle with in my writing is thinking that, you know, I am copying other people's work, or it's too similar to this, because, you know, genre conventions are very similar and sometimes very constricting, and you end up writing things that, you know, in your head you're like, oh, I've read that before. But I'm trying not to get too caught up in that, because again, I know I mentioned her in my first video, but this series is inspired by Pole and Banana Books series on it. And in one of her videos, she talks about this idea of, you know, a novel is made up of threads, and you pick out the ones that you can see because you put them there. But then somebody else might see a different thread that is similar to a different novel that you didn't notice, but they won't notice the one you noticed. So obviously she puts it a lot better than I just did. I'll try and find whichever video in her series that was, and I will link it down below. Not that I think she's going to get much traction from this video, but we can try. I'm trying to be good. Got my coffee. But no, it's going well. I'm enjoying having set time in the day to do my writing. I'm also enjoying being in an environment where everyone's very supportive of my writing. I've never had people be outright unsupportive. That's the word. I've never had people told me, oh, you won't be an author, you know, you can't do it, all this. But it's nice being here where people are actively like, oh, I can't wait for it. My partner's dad said that because he gave me a computer to use at one point, he says he wants the first signed copy, which I think is really sweet, and I'm very excited to, you know, be able to fulfill that goal, hopefully. But no, it's going well. So far on my chapter plan, I have 10 chapters completed. I thought it would be done by now, but there is still a ways to go, and I currently have 919 words, and so like the beginning chapters that I've already drafted, the plan is like 2 lines and they're very short, but then as you get further on and it's stuff that I haven't yet drafted, this is the first time it's being written down, the plan for that chapter will be like 8 lines long. I also draft my plans in bullet points. I don't actually put bullet points, but like I do sentences about what's going on. I'm like, this person does this, this person does this, and there's a load of context and things that have to happen around that, conversations that have to be had, and room to wiggle when I'm actually writing it and drafting it. But I quite like that. I like the freedom when I'm writing to kind of do what I want. I don't like just writing something that I've already kind of written. Drafting I love because I like making things better, but I don't like having to extend my chapter plans. It's why I don't usually do them. I don't like having everything already written out and I just have to write it in a novel way. I know it sounds weird that I actually really enjoy editing then, but editing is just like, you're just fixing things. You're like, oh, it's better. I've done it. I figured it out. And you get a nice sense of euphoria that you've figured out what you needed to do. You've made it sound better. You've put it in a more eloquent way. But with writing the first draft from an extensive chapter plan, it's kind of like, I already know what I want on this page. I just want it there in front of me. But you have to find the words. And those words are shit. That's the worst bit, is that the first draft is always awful. That's why I don't like first drafts. It's like, you know what you want. You know exactly what you want written on the page. But it just sounds awful. When you read it back in your head, you're just like, that's a garbage piece of work right there. But, you know, every writer that I know says that first drafts are awful. And I did well in my degree of creative writing. I got a first on my creative dissertation, so my writing can't be that bad. It's also the first time I'm doing a chapter plan on my computer. I usually write it down, but the problem with that, because I have one notebook, I will show it to you now. This is my notebook. This is the second edition of it, but in first year, I think I mentioned this in another one. In first year of uni, I was told to always keep a book with me. I think I mentioned it in my first writing vlog. Sorry, the dog is barking. The dog. Sorry. But when I'm writing in it, because I use this book for everything, shopping lists, like any ideas that I randomly have, and chapter plans for a while, it just got difficult because it meant that I couldn't use this book for anything else, and then I felt pressured to get the chapter plan done in like a singular session. Whereas having it on my computer, but knowing that I can't edit it, because that's why I did it in here, was the thing of, don't go back and edit your chapter plan. I'm not saying that as a general rule. This is why I did it in here, is because I would get so caught up on editing my chapter plans till they had everything I wanted and were perfect. And the book was to kind of expel that. But it didn't work. All it did was mean that I wrote out chapter plan after chapter plan after chapter plan. Like, I started again so many times with this one book that I was writing for my course. It was ridiculous. So I'm enjoying doing it on a computer again, because I realised rather than trying to find a workaround it was a mental thing I had to get over of don't edit your chapter plan, because I get too caught up in it and I need to move on. That's where I struggle, is I never move on from steps. I get so comfortable in one step that I don't move on. But it's never going to get done if you don't move on. I know while the dogs are barking, it's feeding time. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the return to the writing vlogs. I know it's been a good few weeks, but I'm back into it. I was just struggling mentally for a little while to find a creative thought. Really emphasises my point. I was really struggling to be creative for a while, is what I'm saying. It was getting bad. But I'm back on it, back on my bullshit, writing this novel because I love the story. That's the thing, I adore this story. It feels like it could be a novel. All my other stories, there's been something that I'm like, I don't know. This one just feels right to me so far. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!